CFA Saturday in the heart of Pennsylvania. The hunt is on in Happy Valley. You know, on a football weekend in the Keystone State, they migrate from Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, Altoona and Harrisburg. Over the rolling hills and Nittany Mountain Range they travel to settle in next to the dairy farms and then take it on inside spacious Beaver Stadium, where today 6th-ranked Alabama plays 14th-ranked Penn State. On a beautiful football Saturday, they party in the center of Pennsylvania and tailgate like nowhere else in America. You look out from Beaver Stadium and just see an endless sea of tailgaters who have come since early this morning to party prior to Penn State and Alabama. And good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. I'm Jim Nance. I'm here along with Inga and Dick and the Gilroys from Harrisburg. They've been here since early this morning getting ready for this game at Happy Valley. But you know, a year ago it was anything but Happy Valley at Penn State because the Nittany Lions were 5-6. And then they opened up this year with a loss to Virginia. However, since that time, Penn State has won 5 straight games, and they boast the nation's #1 scoring defense. It's a similar story down in Alabama, where the fans have been dissatisfied in recent years. But now, this season, Alabama is unbeaten, and they're talking about a Sugar Bowl or a possible national championship. We have 2 glamour programs today. Also, 2 participants in this contest who will be central figures. For more on that story, let's take a ride with Pat Hayden.
Well, Jim, football games can often produce some interesting, ironic twists, and I think this game offers some great irony. On one of the country's most talked about and storied running backs for the past 3 years. He's come all the way back from a very serious knee injury to be one of the preseason's top. He hasn't had a Heisman kind of year, but he's still had a very good year and very much featured in their attack. On the other hand, Alabama has a quarterback, Gary Hollingsworth, whom nobody ever heard of a month ago. Wasn't even good enough to make the traveling squad 2 years ago when they came to play Penn State. In the 5 weeks, he's risen from a backup quarterback to one of the great stories in college football. Story about the changing fortunes in college football. But John Dockery, some things never change about this game.
Pat, over the years, both these schools have prided themselves in having great linebackers. Look at Alabama. First it was Cornelius Bennett, followed by Derek Thomas, and now they have another monster linebacker, Keith McCants, 6'5", 255 pounds, with one thing on his mind, and that's to track Blair Thomas wherever he goes, follow Thomas around the field. On the other side of the ball, Penn State has their own star linebacker, number 31, Andre Collins. On his mind is Gary Hollingsworth. He will keep an eye on him. He will be where the ball is, especially since Collins and his teammates know the importance of this game.
We welcome you back to Beaver Stadium and a packed house at University Park, Pennsylvania. The undefeated and 6-0 Alabama Crimson Tide. They won here in 1987, 24-13. It was Bill Curry's second game as the coach of the Tide. Bobby Humphrey was the man that night, rushing for over 200 yards. Now Penn State waiting in the tunnel, waiting to emerge before 83,000. Bill Curry in his 3rd year as the coach at Alabama. And now the 5-1 Penn State Nittany Lions. Coach Joe Paterno. In this decade, they've regained their form this season, 5 straight victories. And today, Alabama will try to beat Joe Paterno for the 3rd straight year. No school has ever done that before. Alabama, Penn State coming up next. Penn State has won the toss and elected to receive. Philip Doyle kicks. Richie Anderson, a freshman, returns for Penn State. He is on the prowl at the 2-yard line, waiting for Doyle's kick. Doyle's kick comes to Anderson at the 1-yard line. He's got a wedge, and he's down at the 34. A 33-yard return by Richie Anderson. Bob Damon with a big block to help free him. Tony Sacca, sophomore from New Jersey, is the starting quarterback. He was only 8 for 28 last year against the Crimson Tide. He's joined in the backfield by, well, first of all, the receivers, David Daniels and Terry Smith. Daniels can go deep. You'll also see a lot today of O.J. McDuffie. He'll be shuttling in the plays along with Terry Smith. Blair Thomas is in the backfield along with Leroy Thompson. Full house backfield on first down as Smith joins him. And the give is to Thompson to the 39-yard line.
Jim, on that opening kickoff, Philip Doyle, the kicker, came limping off the field. They have him on the bench, and they're attending to him.
Alabama has a backup place kicker, Alan Ward, who was a high school prep All-American.
Doyle's
maybe seeing Ward today. Doyle is injured.
Wow.
McDuffie is in this full house backfield with Thomas and Thompson on 2nd and 5 for Penn State. The give to Blair Thomas. Running off left tackle near the first down at the 44-yard line. Running behind that line on the left side with McCartan and Zott. The nose tackle for Alabama is Willie Wyatt. He's a good one. Also up front, Thornton and Rayam. And the linebackers, Van Treese Davis and Keith McCants. McCants had 16 tackles last week against Tennessee. Steve Webb and Spencer Hammond. Pat Saka has a big arm, but he does not have a high percentage passing.
Well, they throw the ball downfield a lot. They don't dink the ball. No Penn State quarterbacks have really ever had high percentages because they throw the ball downfield so deep.
Well, on 3rd and 1, Saka on the sneak has the first down for Penn State. Penn State offensive line, Roger Duffy, senior from Canton, Ohio. Flanked by the guards, Monahan and Zott. Freeman and McCartan are the tackles. McCartan. Jacob is the tight end. Coach Joe Paterno, his team, picks up a first down on the sneak by Saka. Ball at the 46-yard line. Lining up in the I. Daniels in motion. Thomas is the tailback. Thomas running behind Zott, getting near the 50. Tackled by Willie Wyatt and Thomas Rayam. For that Alabama defense, Ephraim Thomas and John Mangum are the corners, and the safeties Lee Osment and Charles Gardner.
You know, we talked a little bit about the injury to Philip Doyle, the kicker. That could be, I expect this to be a close ball game, perhaps a fourth quarter kind of game. It's going to be interesting to see if he can get back in the ball game and kick, because it may be a field goal type of game, Jim.
Field, it's a reverse to McDuffie. Saka out in front trying to lead the way with a block. And McDuffie is raced down at the 24-yard line. Another Penn State first down. McDuffie is a man who broke one last week, 84 yards for a touchdown on a punt return, and also ran back a reverse 45 yards pass to set up another score.
And you're right, this is set up beautifully because, as you watch McDuffie come around, because they had run the ball so well effectively earlier in the game. It looks like the same run into the short side of the field, and then McDuffie comes around, follows a nice block by Saka, didn't knock anybody down, but got in his way and allowed McDuffie to get around him.
1st and 10, back to Thomas. Thomas dancing around and getting inside of the 20 to the 19-yard line. A rush of 6 yards for Blair Thomas. Mangum on the tackle for Alabama.
Now, Thomas doesn't give you a real big target. A lot of running backs are his dimensions. You think of the Tony Dorsett types. He's 5'11" and almost 200 pounds, but you never get a clean shot at him, Jim. It's always an elbow or a hip or an ankle, but it's tough to stop him dead in his tracks because he is always moving his legs.
Pat, what a comeback he has made, too. He does not even wear a knee brace. And consider the knee injury kept him out all of last year. Has been troubled lately with a hip pointer, but here he carries again. And it's a first down, Penn State, near the 13-yard line. Rayam on the tackle for the Crimson Tide. Tennessee and LSU battling down in Baton Rouge in a close one. Penn State taking it right at the Crimson Tide on the opening possession of the game. Smith to the right, McDuffie on a slot right on 1st and 10. Thomas out of there in motion. Swinging it over to Thomas. He avoids the first tackle and goes out of bounds at the 9-yard line. Osment forced him out.
But that should have been a loss, Jim. And again, it wasn't necessarily a bad play by Osment, but a terrific play by Blair Thomas. Osment probably should have had him there for a loss, but he gave him that little bit of a move. Just a one step to get him outside.
John Dockery, what's going on down there?
Jim Nantz, you were mentioning that Blair Thomas doesn't wear a knee brace. All the more amazing when you see the kind of scar that he has on his knee, a major zipper like this. This is major reconstructive surgery. You don't see it that often in the days of orthoscopic surgery. Back to you now, Jim.
2nd down and 5 from the 9-yard line. There he goes, Thomas. This time he is stopped and hit by John Mangum, who came up from the corner.
What a nice play by Mangum, number 29 right there. He's a guy that teams look at films and say, hey, we could beat that guy. But, you know, he'll fool you because you try to pick on him and he makes play after play, both in the passing game and in the running game. Reminds me a little bit of the guy at Notre Dame we saw last week.
Stance Magala.
Exactly. Same number, and people try to pick on him, but they fool you.
13th play of this opening drive for Penn State, but it's 3rd and 5 from the 9-yard line. Saka over the head of Daniels, and Penn State will attempt a field goal. Ephraim Thomas on the coverage, passed way over the head of Dave Daniels.
Well, Tony Saka has a big arm. What they're trying to do is to develop some touch. Now, it's hard to go the other way around, try to develop a guy to have a big arm. It's easy to teach a quarterback to have touch, and that's what they're trying to do with Tony Saka.
Ray Tarasi comes in to attempt the field goal of 26 yards. Joe Markowitz is the holder. Mark Lawn will snap it back. And the left hash mark. Tarasi puts Penn State on the board. Well, they used up over 6 minutes on the clock, and they net a field goal early against Alabama. From all across the state to Beaver Stadium. And this has been the site for Penn State football since 1960. It's named, by the way, for the Honorable James Beaver, a former governor of the state of Pennsylvania some 100 years ago, and one of the leaders in starting up Penn State University. Derek Owens Lassick and Gene Jelks are the return men for Alabama. This is Jelks, 2 yards deep. And he is Matt Baggett on the tackle. Kickoff coverage, Penn State. There he is, Gary Hollingsworth, coming off a 379-yard passing performance last week. Joined in the backfield by Kevin Turner, one of his favorite targets, and Saran Stacy. Greg Sanderson, he hails from Hamilton, Alabama, was a high school teammate of Hollingsworth. And Marco Battle, the other receiver. Alabama comes right out in the shotgun.
Interesting formation, first play of their game. They said they have to throw to win.
So 3 receivers. Hollingsworth right away, complete near the 30 to Sanderson, and tackled at the 29-yard line. 1st and 10 for Alabama. Hollingsworth throwing it over, complete to Stacy. He loses his footing near the 35-yard line. Saran Stacy has scored 4 touchdowns in 2 different games this year, and last week set an all-purpose record at Alabama. Jim Dieter is the Penn State nose guard. And on that defensive line, Frank Giannetti and Rich Schoenwolf. The linebackers, Chismar and Andre Collins on the inside. And outside, D'Onofrio and Jeff Jackson. 2nd down and 3. Now lining up in the eye. 2 tight ends. Abrams joins Russell. Hollingsworth throws complete to Russell. Lamont Russell near midfield. And another Alabama first down.
Alabama is one of the most unusual offensive teams that you will see in college football because they feature the tight end and fullback on receptions. Nobody I've ever seen covers the fullback out of the backfield or the tight end very well in college football. And Homer Smith, the offensive coordinator, knows that. And so he features those 2 players.
Well, Kevin Turner, the fullback, caught 10 passes against Ole Miss. You're right, Pat. They're not afraid to go to him. 1st and 10. Saran Stacy will lose a yard. Giannetti and D'Onofrio combine on the Penn State tackle. Alabama's line starts with Roger Schultz at center. The guards are Robinette and Patterson. And the tackles, Vince Strickland and Terrell Chapman. Shuttling in a lot of receivers is Bill Curry here. And offensive coordinator Homer Smith. Charlie Abrams in the game as a tight end. 2nd down, we'll call it 12. Good fake by Hollingsworth. Schoenwolf was after him, but he gets it away to Stacy, and Stacy's in Penn State territory near the first down.
What a remarkable play by Gary Hollingsworth. You know, Jim, all week long, his teammates and his coaches have talked about poise. Everybody says the same thing about Gary Hollingsworth. Nobody ever heard of him 5 weeks ago. But he's come in and has a remarkable calm about him that allows him to make plays like that.
Pat, they pick up the first down, a gain of 12. Hollingsworth, undaunted by Schoenwolf, grabbing him by the jersey. Hollingsworth 4 for 4 here on his opening possession. Second down, or third down it is, and 3. Hollingsworth rolling left, throwing, and on the ground, pass. I might have been intercepted. I don't think it ever touched the ground, Pat.
I think you're right. I think it was laying on a couple of bodies. The officials and all Southeastern Conference crew, by the way, and Andre Collins. Yep.
Penn State football, Andre Collins.
You know, I was talking to some of the Alabama coaches before the game, and they were worried about the turf. We have seen both teams slip and slide out there. You see both Alabama receivers there slide, and the ball never did touch the ground, and Collins picks it off.
Saran Stacy on his back, number 27.
He slipped. No, there it did hit the ground. Yeah, you could see the ball actually hit the ground there on that
play rule in college football.
Yeah, that's a tough break there for Alabama.
I'm going to take another look at it. But first, Penn State takes over at the 5. Saka going big time right away. He's looking for Daniels, and the pass is underthrown, and the interception is returned. Ephraim Thomas comes right back, and Alabama will take over at the 43.
No doubt about this interception, but I think Saka's arm may have been hit as he was trying to release this ball, Jim. Pretty good protection there. Throwing it at the end zone, it wasn't released. He just tried to throw it too far inside. The ball came off his arm in a very funny fashion. And Ephraim Thomas had his man covered. Then they made a nice adjustment to come back inside to make the interception.
Now Daniels was the intended target. Ephraim Thomas with the interception. Hollingsworth, his receiver tripped, and Henderson makes an interception. Hernan Henderson has 3 INTs in about 1 minute of action.
And Jim, I think in all 3 interceptions, guys have slipped. Again, you're going to see Hernan Henderson, number 40, pick this ball off, but the receiver in front of him loses his footing. Remember, the Tide plays on AstroTurf. It was Marco Ballo who slipped, and Henderson made the easy pickoff.
That's 3-0 Penn State. Final minute, first quarter.
I'm John Dockery along with Jim Nance and Pat Hayden, and if you've been watching the game, you've noticed any number of players slipping 3 or 4 in the last few times, and the field is actually in pretty good shape. The only problem is they've had an enormous amount of rain, and it's very packed down, and the grass is very short, and some of the players are wearing those short turf shoes, and they're slipping, so it's been a problem, and it's affected, Pat Hayden, some of those interceptions. We've seen receivers slip, and the ball been intercepted. Now back to you guys.
You're right, John. Again, as I mentioned, I talked to Don Lindsay, the defensive coordinator in Alabama, and he was very concerned about this turf and his players slipping and sliding on it.
Quickly across the middle to Jacob, and the tight end has the first down for Penn State.
Yeah, that should be a featured throw from Saka to Jacob, because it's an easy throw by Jacob. But Keith McCants, whom John Dockery talked at the top of the show, number 86 right there in the middle of your screen, puts the rush on the inside blitz. Just misses tipping that ball.
Well, that's the end of the first quarter with the score. Penn State 3, Alabama 0. College football on CBS Sports returns after this message and a word from your local station. They have packed them in today at Beaver Stadium. 85,900 is the second largest crowd ever. You know, the second favorite peak here in Happy Valley is Mount Nittany. We're just coming off of there. The favorite peak is Beaver Stadium, this mountainous structure that arises out of the farmland. Beautiful CFA Saturday of football, Penn State and Alabama. Penn State ranked 14th, Alabama number 6 in the country. 3 turnovers in the first quarter, all interceptions. Penn State with 1st and 10. Start out the second stanza. Inside give to Thompson. A flag flies. So does the football. And Gardner falls on it. This probably will go against the Penn State line, which...
Yeah, the umpire threw that flag, Jim. It's usually a sign of holding.
Holding! Interior lineman! Offense! Penalty Klein! White!
Now, this is one thing about this Alabama team. They force a lot of fumbles. They strip a lot of balls. Keith McCants, number 86, gets his left paw in there and strips the ball loose. And again, some guys make plays. Keith McCants makes a lot of those, but then he goes the extra step. He causes the fumble as he did right there. That's a great play by McCants.
Charles Gardner recovers at the 48-yard line. Now 2 turnovers by each team. Hollingsworth off the play action. Ball is tipped, intended for Stacy. Someone got a hand on it, I believe, Pat, at the line of scrimmage.
I think it was D'Onofrio. Either he or Jim Dieter inside. But, you know, a lot of guys, when they get a rush, here's number 72, Dieter. He's the nose tackle who looped to the outside. I think it was D'Onofrio, number 38, who got his hand on the ball. But what Hollingsworth does, even when he gets a big rush, is always keep his eyes focused downfield.
There's D'Onofrio. He's a wild man on the field of legendary proportions around Penn State. 2nd down and 10. Inside of 5 minutes of the 2nd quarter. Martin Houston, the backup fullback, gives the carry and rumbles up the middle to the 33-yard line. Andre Collins on the tackle.
Boy, and Houston, who is a big guy, 232 pounds, a real heavy back, as they call him inside, picked up a nice block by his center, Roger Schultz, and just ran off that block for the good, nice yardage. Now, 3rd and 3 or 4, this is a great down for Alabama because they have so many different weapons, so many different receivers who can catch the ball in this down.
They have not converted today, however, on 3rd down. They're 0 for 4. They do now. Lamont Russell picks up the 1st down, hanging out on that left sideline, and the ball is at the 22-yard line after a gain of 10.
Well, I love to see a team come back with a successful play. That is the same play that Russell caught just 2 or 3 plays ago. Same play action fake. Penn State did make an adjustment, so they came right back to it and ran it again. And for the 2nd time, Russell was wide open into the short side of the field.
You see Hollingsworth's numbers, the 2 interceptions, his receivers lost their footing. Hollingsworth rolling left and throwing inside of the 10, incomplete. He went back to Russell. Sherrod Range was in the area.
Lamont Russell right here again. It just sneaks down in here through, but this time he's getting the attention of Sherrod Range. Now, the thing they're not doing, Jim, is holding him up to the line of scrimmage. Anytime a tight end is hurting you like Russell is, you have to jam him on the line of scrimmage so that he can't get off the ball that free.
Marco Battle and Prince Wembley are the receivers. Wembley now racing in motion. 2nd down run to the 20-yard line. Penn State holding here, stopping the Crimson Tide. Alabama needing to get to the 13 for the 1st. That was Chismar and D'Onofrio combining on the tackle of Saran Stacy. What a beautiful day and week it has been in the state of Pennsylvania, all up and down the Northeast, Middle Atlantic states. Casmus comes in as a receiver. Hollingsworth drops back to the shotgun. On 3rd and 7. Shuttle pass to Stacy. And Stacy about 2 yards short of the 1st down. They broke that play last week, 75 yards for a touchdown against Tennessee. Penn State was watching.
Yeah, beautifully read by the linebackers inside. Watch number 31. See him pointing, Andre Collins? He sees something coming. He is pointing to a couple of his teammates. He fights off Robinette's block, number 50, to make the stop along with Chismar, number 28, with some help from Giannotti. With 3 or 4 blue jerseys, guys talking to one another, that's good team defense.
Well, we speculated on Doyle's condition. He's all right. He's going to attempt a 32-yarder to tie it. And the kick is good. Philip Doyle, the hold by Jeff Wall. And And Alabama and Penn State are tied with field goals.
But Andre Collins has had a sensational career here at Penn State, and I suspect he's going to have a long career in the pros.
You know, we saw his mother. Andre actually decided out of high school he wanted to play football at Illinois, but his mother would not sign the letter of intent. She liked Joe Paterno so much when he came to the house to visit. She said, "Son, you're not going to Illinois. Get that out of your mind. You're going to Penn State." Doyle kicks. We've got a tie game. 2:26 left in the second. Richie Anderson returning. He loses his footing at the 25-yard line. Penn State and Alabama, both in the national spotlight. Penn State with 5 consecutive wins, and now running a reverse with Daniels. Picking up a couple of yards. Penn State ranked 14th, Alabama 6th.
You know, third reverse that Penn State has run, and what they're trying to do is keep people at home so they can run more power football. But Van Trees Davis, the inside linebacker, has done a nice job on 2 of those reverses.
Saka is hit and dropped by Lee Osment. Blitzing from the secondary.
That's the problem, Jim, when you have some receivers and your offensive scheme is such that you're going to throw the ball downfield a lot. You're going to take some sacks because you have to hold the ball while they get open.
A loss of 5. Osment breaking through and dropping Tony Saka.
I'm really kind of surprised on 3rd and 10 here that Alabama defense didn't call a timeout.
Well, it's a good point, Pat, because there's 1:20 left in the half. Clock is running. Jacob, the tight end, and a slot left. Penn State runs it.
Should call a timeout.
Penn State runs it with Blair Thomas, and Alabama signals for the timeout. Helkowski to punt. And a low kick coming to Jelks, and he too slips. Third down. From the shotgun over to Turner it goes. Blockers in front. But Reggie Gibbons stays there, fights off one block, and makes the tackle.
Well, what a determined play by Givens, because a big old linebacker, a big old lineman, I think was Robinette, was right on top of him, but he fought through it for the stop.
There's Reggie Givens. Interesting to see how Notre Dame comes back this week emotionally to play Pittsburgh. 3rd down and 3. Running it with Stacy, and he has the first down. Tackled by Collins first.
Well, 32 seconds, and Alabama has still has 2 timeouts remaining. Trying to get Doyle in field goal range. Career long of 53 yards means they need to get to around the 36-yard line.
Hollingsworth rifles the pass complete at the 36-yard line. It's Prince Wembley.
And again, you see the poise of Gary Hollingsworth. I think guys who are poised like him run the 2-minute drill particularly well, Jim.
He picked up 15. They stopped the clock to move the chains. Alabama still has 2 timeouts. Now they run the football. Stacy. He has room. He's inside the 10. And he's just short. With 2 seconds left in the half. Darren Perry saved the touchdown.
Well, an unbelievable call by Homer Smith and Alabama. So you think they're going to take a couple of shots in, and now this puts Alabama in a real dilemma. But everybody in the stadium is thinking pass, and they come right back with Stacy on the off-tackle play. So it was pretty well defended, but he just ran right through 3 tackles, and it was number 9, Perry, who saved the touchdown.
Well, Alabama calls a timeout with 2 seconds left, and they are showing that they're going to go for it. They're just inches shy of the goal line. Now, Penn State will have a chance to show its own goal line stand. It's not as desperate a situation as that was in 79 in the last minutes. 2 seconds left before halftime, and Alabama's going to go for the touchdown.
Now, Jerry Sandusky says about this Alabama offense that they run the best bootlegs of anybody he has ever seen.
first half as Penn State holds. The Nittany Lions have not allowed a rushing touchdown this year. Pat, what's going on down here?
He's complaining about the use of the clock. He thought the clock should have run out before, and he didn't think they deserved that chance. It was Andre Collins, the man we've talked about so much, who makes the play. Playing a really an inside linebacker, puts the stop on Houston. And again, Andre Collins has made so many big plays in his career at Penn State, but that is another big one.
It is 3-3 at halftime. We're deadlocked as we get ready to start the third quarter. Penn State will kick to start the second half. Jelks, the return man for Alabama, at the goal line. And Jelks is tackled at the 20. Tackled by Darren Perry, who made a big touchdown-saving tackle with 2 seconds left in the first half.
Well, you're right. You know, people will forget about that play a little bit earlier, but he made this stop on Saran Stacy. Otherwise, Stacy would have scored the touchdown before the half.
See the play selection. Alabama mostly through the air, Penn State on the ground.
Alabama's only gotten 3 points, although they've been down inside the 20.
On 3 occasions. Out of the shotgun to start it out. Hollingsworth throws complete. No, incomplete. Ruled incomplete to Kevin Turner.
Jim, as you go back to that graphic and Alabama being down inside the 20, I know Bill Curry, people are going to say, why didn't he kick that field goal? I happen to think it was a good call there, even though they didn't make it. It is not a Southeastern Conference game. He's playing for perhaps a larger picture, and he has to have his confidence in his team. He's got a big fullback, 230 pounds. He's got to figure he can get in the end zone.
Second down and 10. Turner and Saran Stacy, the running backs. Here's Stacy. Maybe 2 yards. Andre Collins again on the tackle.
A spectacular job by Andre Collins. You know, he is everything a coach wants in a linebacker. You ask him to rush the passer, he'll rush the passer. He'll play coverage for you. He can play tough inside, and he can play a finesse game. Anything that you need, he has to offer.
Shadows beginning to... Third down pass to stay for the first down at the 29-yard line. This will depend on the spot.
Guess who was
broad range on the tackle, Pat.
Along with Andre Collins. Again, Collins was tough physical inside stop a little bit earlier in that play, all the way out near the boundary to make the stop.
Oh, Penn State comes up short, or Alabama does, rather. Alabama short by inches.
Now, with the offense struggling for Penn State a little bit as it has, you might think about coming after the punter this time. We've talked about Penn State being a successful punt block team. Although 2 weeks ago, McDuffie returned a punt for a touchdown against Syracuse.
Bill Smith, the punter for Alabama, broke his hand in a game against Ole Miss when they came rushing in on him. Missed a couple of games. Alan Ward replaced him. Now he's back. Catch all of that one. McDuffie dancing around and getting near midfield. Back right at the 50. A 13-yard return by O.J. McDuffie.
But it's been a game of good defense. I don't think it's been necessarily bad offense. Very good defensive teams in play today.
From the 50, the handoff to Leroy Thompson for about 3.
In a game like this, too, Jim, that it's a close ball game, 3-3. You mentioned Penn State's best field position. This is an opportunity they must seize. They must get something out of this possession, whether it's 3 or 7, because they haven't had any kind of luck trying to drive the ball 70, 80 yards against this Bama defense.
I'll tell you, resilient defenses for the last 2 years combined. It was an 8-3 game last year. No touchdowns in that one. Alabama winning. So they've gone 6 quarters without finding the end zone in this series. Blair Thomas with room and gets near the first down. He'll be about a yard short at the 41-yard line.
Boy, Ed Monahan, number 60, has been, he's had a few collisions today. These guards from Penn State, they do a lot of pulling. Number 60 right there. He looks like a lineman. You know, he's got the half jersey there, the kind of the stomach hanging out. But this guy has a lot of collisions. He pulls, gets nice and deep, gets his shoulders square, and hunts down the guy he's going to block. He's got a guard's physique, doesn't he?
3rd and 1. Another reverse to McDuffie. And a first down. Didn't pick up a lot of yardage, but enough for the first at the 35-yard line. Saka again out in front, trying to find someone to hit. And we've got a report coming from John Dockery on the sideline.
And you know what, Jim, before the game, interesting story about O.J. McDuffie. On Thursday night during study hall, he actually got woozy, had heart palpitations. So for the last few days, O.J. McDuffie has been in the hospital. They've been checking him. He was medically cleared before the game, and you see him performing here today. Back to you.
So a first down, and at the 25-yard line. John Jarek in the backfield with Thomas. Saka backpedaling and throwing it out of bounds. That's what they told him this week, Pat. They said two things we must avoid. One, the turnover, and two, don't let them sack you.
Yeah, well, you live to see another day. Now instead of being 2nd and 20, it's 2nd and 10. It's a heads-up play there by Tony Sack, and he is improving every week. He'll never be a 70% passer just because of the style that Penn State throws. But if he can make plays like that, he'll help this team win. Just don't take the sack. Get your team at a field goal range.
He's 6 for 12 passing for 44 yards. 2nd down and 10. Delay give to Thomas, driving those legs forward to the 20-yard line. McCants on the tackle.
And how about a job again? Ed Monahan, number 60, the guard, really got his body right there. Big number 60 got his body right in the way of his defender, where Blair Thomas. You can see both these guards get out in front. But it's number 60, really, Monahan, the left guard there, who blocks number 44 Hammond, stays on his body, and then Blair Thomas runs right past the block.
Third down and 4 for the Nittany Lions from the 19. Saka looking for McDuffie. He holds on. Touchdown, Penn State. And that's the man John Dockery spoke of just minutes ago. Not feeling well during the week. Recovered. And now he's come out and scored the first touchdown of the game. What a catch it was, too. Tarassi on the extra point try. And it's 10-3 Penn State.
What you do with a great athlete like O.J. McDuffie, and his namesake, he was named after O.J. Simpson, is you throw the ball up and let a guy go up and use that enormous athletic ability if you have it. And that's just what he did. Saka threw the ball up a little bit underthrown, which you want to do on that kind of throw. Good coverage, really, by Mangum, but too much athletic ability by McDuffie.
Well, we mentioned several times today he had scored a touchdown last week against, or actually 2 weeks ago, because Penn State was idle last week. But against Syracuse, he ran one back on a punt, 84 yards for a touchdown. This catch for a touchdown was his first from scrimmage. Jelks returning for the Tide. He has the right sideline. And forced out of bounds by Bobby Samuels. But it's a good return, and a flag is down. 41-yard return by Jelks.
And he picked up a big block, and I think it was by Prince Wembley on the wedge, who threw a big block, and then Jelks ran right behind him. Those wedge guys, there's a personal foul against Penn State, but the wedge guys never get enough credit. A nice block by Wembley.
And it's 1st and 5 from the 36. This is the 4th drive started in Nittany Lion territory, and only 3 points to show for it. Saran Stacy for 3. Dieter on the tackle. I'll show you Alabama and their drives in the first half. Punting on the first one. And then intercepted. Came right back, made another interception, turned it right back over. Strange series of events where we had 3 interceptions in a minute and a half. The 1 field goal and then the half ending at the goal line. Stopped at the goal line. Martin Houston stopped by Andre Collins. 2nd and 7. Stacy on the carry. Actually, it was 2nd and 2 because of the 5-yard penalty. Collins on the tackle. This is near a first down, Pat.
Yeah, and this is a very important down. I think he's a little short. Important down for this tied offense. Down by 7 points. The momentum is on the on the side of Penn State. The crowd is on their side. This is a situation where they must convert and then get something on the board.
Third down and 1. They bring Martin Houston back in as the fullback as they shift into the I. Stacy, the tailback. Stacy gets the carry, and he lunges forward for the Alabama first down.
I think it was Bear Bryant who said years ago that there's usually 5 to 8 plays in every game which the game turns on. But you never know which plays of those are going to be. And a short yardage play like that that keeps a drive alive can very much be one of those 5 to 8 plays.
From the 30. Hollingsworth. Man open in the flat. Pass is caught by Marco Battle. And a gain of 8. How about Hollingsworth's performance so far today, Pat?
Well, again, I think he's had the 2 interceptions, but he is throwing the ball short primarily. He likes to dink the ball. It's their style. And then he's going to try to throw the ball up top. I think the 2 interceptions really were not his fault as receivers slipped.
Second down and 2. Pitch to Stacy, trying to find the corner, and he's forced out of bounds again near a first down at the 20. Darren Perry and Hernan Henderson put the hit on him, knocked him out.
Hernan Henderson, he made a physical play right there. Earlier we saw him make a nice play on a pass defense, and he's kind of an amazing guy, Henderson, number 40, in that really this is just his 4th year of football. He was a soccer player in high school, just played as a junior and senior, only played really 2 years here. But they think he has oodles of athletic ability.
You know, he's an engineering major and decided to take off last year.
Yeah.
To lock in on his studies. Stayed away from football. It is a first down for Alabama at the 20. Midway in the 3rd, 10-3 Penn State leading. Good play action fake by Hollingsworth. Has his man Wembley at the 15 and inside the 10 to the 8-yard line.
They do such a great job, Jim, of mixing it up. Wembley was open by 10 yards because Marco Battle, the wide receiver, brought everybody downfield, and then number 32, Wembley, comes right underneath him. But it starts with good pass protection first, which Hollingsworth gets. He looks off the other receiver, which is great. Battle had cleared it up, and a well-designed play left Wembley wide open in the flat.
First and goal from the 8-yard line. Running it with Stacy up the middle. And only a yard, maybe 2. Jim Dieter, the nose tackle.
Jim Dieter is a guy who has played well. And again, he is maybe the fastest nose tackle that Penn State has had. Saw him make some plays outside earlier, Jim, and they're played real tough inside as a physical play there. Nice play by the nose tackle.
He's from DuBois, Pennsylvania. About 65 miles down Interstate 80. Second and goal from the 6. Faking. Looking off the blitz and a touchdown to Lamont Russell. Boy, he had a man coming right in on his face, too, and Hollingsworth got rid of it. Sherrod Range was rushing in on him. Third touchdown of the year for Lamont Russell, and now Philip Doyle can tie the game at 10 with this extra point. Steve Kloot snaps back to Wall, the holder, and the kick is perfect. 6:55 left in the 3rd quarter, and it's 10-10 Alabama and Penn State. Lamont Russell, the tight end, the skillful receiver, open in the end zone, and Alabama comes right back to tie and challenge the Nittany Lions. So after the Penn State touchdown, Alabama's return man, Gene Jelks, ran it back near midfield, plus a personal foul infraction, really set up the Crimson Tide in good position. And they come right back to tie it at 10. Ball bouncing around, and Gary Brown picks it up at the 6. Brown tackled at the 28. You see a flag fly into that pile. 2nd and 4. Thomas again on the pitch, cutting around and picking up the first down. That was a nice run by Thomas. Jarrett leading the way with a block.
I love the way he bounces off guys. And he's again trying to get this crowd into it. College football, much more so than professional football, I believe there's a home field advantage, particularly when you have a crowd like this, 85,000 strong. You want to get them pumped and into the game.
1st and 10. Penn State out-rushing Alabama. It goes the other way, however, in the passing game. Here is the running play. Steve Webb and McCants make the tackle on Thomas.
And again, it was Monahan who's had a day of collisions. I'll tell you, Monahan came out and pulled. Look, he's got the neck brace on there. He's got just about every available pad that a guy can have. But he did a nice job of pulling there, and then boom, there was a big collision, and Thomas right behind it.
We saw that scary moment with Oquendo right at the end of the half. Monahan had a similar situation against Boston College. Missed a game, but he was on the field motionless for a while. Here, the reverse is snuffed out. McDuffie, they keep coming back to it, and McCants was waiting for him. He was just babysitting in the backfield and waiting for it to come back around. A 10-yard loss.
The 5th reverse that Penn State has run. Now, it's really part of their offense. They're generally after 2 reverses. You're not going to fool people, but McCants on the inside has the ability to make plays like this. Now, a lot of times, because of his ability, he's going to make mistakes. He's going to overreact. But he also is such a good athlete that he can overcome some of that aggressiveness and make plays like that. He is an amazing player, and they're trying to move him around on this defense, inside and outside, to make plays.
3rd and 18 after the big play by McCants. Sacco with good time, and the pass is incomplete. No flag. No flag. Intended for Dave Daniels. Mangum on the coverage.
Thought that had to be interference. Look at John Mangum, number 29. Yeah, he's over the back with the right side. You see the right hand there, the right shoulder? He was on the back of Dave Daniels. That was interference. Right there, the right hand, the right shoulder. The umpire and the side judge were right there. Should have been a call.
Helkowski will punt. 4:24 left in the 3rd quarter. We're tied 10-10. Penn State and Alabama. Under a good rush. Helkowski gets a good boot away. Jelks going to try the right side. He'll change direction. Oh, he's still free. Look out. Boy, he makes it exciting, doesn't he? Andre Collins finally there to force him out on the sideline. The crowd is still booing. They're unhappy with the no call.
Yeah, they're right. And all that by Jelks for -2 yards.
Collinsworth in the shotgun, flanked by his 2 backs, looking for a man open, intended for battle, intercepted. Perry, Darren Perry. He may score if he gets past this way. No, he's out of bounds at the 7-yard line. This is the forgotten hero from the first half, Darren Perry, who stopped Saran Stacy just inches shy of the goal line prior to the intermission. And now he makes the pickoff, and with that run back dancing around, I never thought he'd get all the way down inside of the 10. Finally, Terrell Chapman bumps him out of the 7.
He picked up a couple of nice blocks by Dieter and Schoenwolf to clear the way for him.
1st and goal from the 7-yard line. Blair Thomas picks up 2 to the 5-yard line.
It was just really an overthrow, and Darren Perry happened to be right here. But the strong safety, which he is at Penn State, they ask a lot of this guy. They ask him to play deep, play close to the line of scrimmage. The overthrow, but watch the blocks he gets by 72 Dieter, 31 there Collins, 75 Schoenwolf right there throwing a block for him. There's a lot of guys who went from defensive players to offensive players after that interception.
Frank Giannetti gave him a good block. Second and goal from the 5. Penn State looking to take the lead. Pitching it to Thomas. No gain. Ephraim Thomas coming up, making the tackle. Number 5, Ephraim Thomas.
You know, for Joe Paterno, he's in a dilemma here. He looks at his second tight end, Todd Young, number 80. Do you take 2 downs and try to punch it in, which I don't think he's going to do. I think on a 3rd and 5, he's going to try to find a way to get sacked on the court of the defense and hit one of those big tight ends. Maybe run a pick play.
1:40 left in the 3rd quarter. 10-10. Penn State and Alabama. 3rd and goal from the 5. Smith in motion from the right hash mark. Saka still backpedaling. Now it flags down over the head of Dave Daniels.
In a close ball game, that is not a bad throw. No, the holding call against Penn State, but in a close ball game, it's 10-10. What you don't want to do is turn the ball over there. Now, I've always thought this was a real tough angle for a kicker, too.
Of course, if you do complete it, they would have gotten the chance to run another play. But now Alabama will refuse the penalty. And Penn State will attempt the field goal to take the lead.
Tough angle here from the right hash mark for any kicker. Sometimes they'll have a delay a game to back it up fine.
Taurasi, Ray Taurasi, just inside of that right upright. And it's 13-10 Nittany Lions. 1:20 left in the 3rd quarter in our CFA action. Today, the 2nd largest crowd ever here. Almost 86,000. And Ray Taurasi, you're looking at him, with 2 field goals today is the difference. 13-10 at the moment. Penn State leading late in the 3rd. Jelks on the return from the goal line. Jelks breaks 1 tackle and gets to the 24-yard line. Hollingsworth. Man open. It's Turner at the 45-yard line. Boy, he slipped going back. Hollingsworth, didn't he, Pat?
He certainly did. Again, the turf. But how often do you see a fullback that far into the secondary? Again, Kevin Turner slipped out of the backfield. A remarkable receiver. 29 catches on the year. He's got terrific hands. Had an accident this year in the weight room where he severed one of his fingers. They sewed it back on in the hospital. But he's come back and had a remarkable year as a receiver.
Martin Houston replaces Turner. 1st and 10, Alabama. Saran Stacy for 3 yards to the 47-yard line. Tackled by Jeff Japchin, senior from Doylestown, Pennsylvania. If you're just joining us, here's the scoring summary. Ray Taurasi on Penn State's opening drive kicked the field goal. Back came Alabama to tie it on Doyle's field goal. McDuffie in the 3rd quarter, touchdown pass reception. And back came Lamont Russell to tie it with a touchdown catch of his own. But Taurasi now has put 3 more points on the board. We're in the final 30 seconds of the 3rd quarter with a 13-10 Penn State over 6th-ranked Alabama. Hollingsworth pass is caught by Stacy, and the Crimson Tide moves into Penn State territory at the 37.
Jim, it's been a day, I think, of great defense and great linebacker play in particular. John Dockery told us at the top of the day about 2 great linebackers. Andre Collins, number 31 for Penn State, who has been sensational, and number 86, Keith McCants, the inside linebacker for Alabama. Those 2 guys have really been the story today.
All right, so 15 minutes remaining. Alabama driving. It's Penn State 13 and the Crimson Tide 10. College football on CBS Sports. We'll return after this message and a word from your local station. Penn State over Alabama, but the Crimson Tide is on the move at the 38-yard line of the Nittany Lions. First and 10. Great fake by Hollingsworth. Dieter after him. He shakes him off. And now dumps it off to Turner. Heads up play by Hollingsworth. And the football is inside of the 30 at the 26-yard line. A gain of 12. A lot of turnovers early in this game. In fact, 4 turnovers, 1 play into the 2nd quarter. But since that time, well, Blair Thomas has rushed for 75 yards. Stacey total yards over 100. But touchdown passes from Saka and Hollingsworth in the third quarter. The game's 2 touchdowns. Here's Stacey picking up another Alabama first down inside the 15 to the 13. Tackle by Sherrod Range after the 12-yard pickup.
Nice burst by Stacey, but picked up a nice little block by his fullback, Kevin Turner. Kevin Turner's caught the ball. He blocked right there for Stacey, and Stacey just took it right outside past his block, got to the corner of the defense, and showed some real speed to the corner, and that's what they're hoping. Remember, Murray Hill, their starting tailback, broke a couple of ribs last week against Tennessee, so they need that kind of burst from Stacey.
Murray Hill did not make the trip. Outstanding running back, senior for Alabama. First and 10, rolling. Hollingsworth has Russell at the 10 and out of bounds at the 7. Bumped out by Darren Perry.
Some guys just have a remarkable feel for the game, and I think Lamont Russell is one of those guys. He has just a feeling, a sense of where people are on the field, a sense of where he is, and just kind of feels his way into routes. Nothing fancy about that route. Came in motion, went into the flat, but again was wide open by 4 or 5 yards.
Now today, the pride of Oneonta, Alabama. 6 catches, 51 yards. Second and 9. Hollingsworth throwing off his back foot and incomplete. Intended for Russell.
And real nice coverage by Henderson. Hernan Henderson, number 40 again. Henderson has played the corner with very, very well till he's been physical on the run support. He's come up and he's taken on guards and tackles, run through people, and then he's had the finesse to be able to back and cover the wide receivers deep.
The Colorado game is a final. Now on 3rd and 9, they run it with Stacey. He breaks the tackle, and he has the touchdown in the lead for Alabama.
Jim, we talked about Alabama's offense being an unconventional team. They'll throw it when it's a running situation, and then again they run it when it's a passing situation. Twice they have done that on 3rd and long inside the 15-yard line.
Well, they did it before the half as well and almost crossed them up. Stacey was stopped inches shy of the goal line. This time he gets in, and Doyle boots the extra point through.
Hey, Jim, even though it wasn't necessarily it was a surprise call, it was pretty well defended. It was all Sir Stacey on that play. Chris Robinette did a sensational job there of clearing the way for Stacey. He is the left guard right here, and he's going to block 2 guys. Andre Collins, who's had a sensational day right here, and then he's going to block number 58 Givens too. See number 50 coming out leading the play. There's 1 blocker, 1 guy, 2 blue jerseys, as Stacey fights through the tackle of Gary Brown and gets in the end zone. But he would never have scored had it not been for the block of Robinette.
Do you know, Pat, that's the first rushing touchdown allowed by Penn State since November the 19th of last year in the second quarter of their game at South Bend against Notre Dame. When Mark Green scored on a running play 29 quarters ago. And Stacey's rushing score puts Alabama in front. Gary Brown on the return. Brown returns it to the 31-yard line. Blair Thomas scoots his way for 4.
13:30 remaining in the fourth quarter. Penn State is now down by 4 points. Now, if you're a quarterback for this Penn State team, you realize maybe you get 2, 3 more possessions this game. 3 if you're lucky. So you can't waste them. Every down becomes important.
Second down and 7, we'll call it. The short 7. Saka throwing, his receiver fell down. McDuffie again.
So ordinarily on a slippery or a wet field, the offense has an advantage, but today it appears to be the defense, Jim. Offensive receivers keep slipping, and that's where most of the interceptions have come.
No question.
This is an important down here, 3rd and 7. Not a real typical Penn State down. They like to be in 3rd and 3 and 4. At 3rd and 7, it's a little bit uncomfortable for them.
Saka with good time, now rolls right, looking down the sideline, and the pass
is caught by Terry Smith. Wow. Two defenders right in the area for the pickup of 13 yards and the first down.
And that was after he slipped, too. He ran upfield and slipped, got up off the ground, and then did a nice job of coming back to the ball. And again, remember we talked about the 1 foot in there, and we talked about Saka. Every once in a while, every 2 or 3 plays a game, he shows you his enormous talent. That was one of them. Threw the ball low and away from the defender.
And the talent of Terry Smith to drag the left foot. Inbounds. First and 10, Perry Thomas. There he goes. Inside of the 30-yard line of Alabama. 23 yards, Blair Thomas.
Penn State has always been a fourth-quarter team as long as Joe Paterno has been here because they wear you down, and they wear you down with offensive linemen, left guard and left tackle. As they come 64, McMartin comes blocking down. Zott takes a nice block, and then Thomas doesn't waste any time. He is up through the hole before the Alabama defense can react.
So first and 10, Saka on the handoff to Thompson, and no gain. That last carry by Blair Thomas gives him 24 carries for 102 yards. Penn State is 11-0 when Thomas has rushed for 100 yards or more. So that's a stat definitely in the Nittany Lions' favor. Saka looking at the end zone. McDuffie's down there through his hands. There was a collision with Ephraim Thomas.
And I thought actually McDuffie, it looked like to me, pushed Thomas away from him. It looked like, again, he's trying to throw it high and short, just like McDuffie earlier went up and got the ball on an athletic play. Didn't really see it in that angle, but live it looked like McDuffie kind of pushed him away. Here's another look at it. No, looked like he just really tripped. That's called incidental contact. I don't think he really intentionally pushed him away, but he did trip.
Third and 10. McCants trying to crash through. He's picked off. And now Saka throws it incomplete.
Now, I'm not sure why that wasn't grounding. There wasn't a receiver. Both receivers were on the other side of the field.
Well, I tell you, McCants came barreling through there, Pat. I thought he might get to Saka for a moment, and then Willie Wyatt and George Thornton picked up the rush.
And McCants sucked up 3 blockers. So he has his physical dimensions. Guys like him are changing the way this game is played. You know, he's 6'5", 250, and is extremely fast.
Well, they're going to try the field goal. They're down 4. 4th and 11. 11 and a half minutes left. It's going to make it a 1-point game to Rassi. It's got to hook a little more, and it does. Just getting through the right upright. That's a career-long field goal for Ray Tarassi. His 3rd of the day, and it's now Alabama leading by 1. Bird's-eye view of that career-long field goal a moment ago by Ray Tarassi of Penn State. From 46 yards, Tarassi nailing his 3rd field goal of the day. And it's a 1-point game now. Alabama 17-16.
I love the emotion of college football.
Matching legendary coaches. Jelks returns from the goal line. Jelks rammed at the 20-yard line. 1st and 10 for Alabama. Hollingsworth throwing low, and the pass was caught by Battle. Marco Battle.
And what a clever little play there and throw. Battle comes down, he runs the hook route, and then the ball, he kind of rotates out, and the ball is thrown on the opposite side of the defensive back. Real athletic move there. You see number 40, Henderson, beginning to make the play. The ball is thrown away from him, and then a nice adjustment by Battle.
Running with Stacy. Stacy near midfield. Robinette was out there in front of him again.
You're right. I was just going to say that. Again, we have seen both these teams and their offensive guards do a terrific job of getting out in front. Robinette there, we saw him a moment ago, leads Stacy into the end zone. And that time, again, showing some speed. He pulled nice and deep, got his shoulders squared to the line of scrimmage. Love to see it.
Senior from Enterprise, Alabama. He's the backup center here now as well. 1st and 10 minutes and 10 seconds left in the contest. Handoff to Stacy. And Alabama's grinding it out on the ground now, picking up some yardage.
Stacy is a guy that you cannot arm tackle because he's just going to run right through those. He's almost 200 pounds. He's got some terrific foot speed. And if he just put a wing out there, he's going to run right through it.
That we saw the Irish have scored on a safety, 7-2. And Stacy has gone over 100 yards. 2nd down and 6. Alabama clinging to a 1-point lead. Hollingsworth pass to Owens Lassick. And pushed out of bounds by Brian Chesmar.
Each team has 3 timeouts remaining. And again, particularly for Penn State, a very important statistic. Alabama trying to keep this drive alive now with it 3rd and 2, the most important 3rd down of this game for both teams.
They bring in the extra tight end, Abrams. They set Sanderson wide right, Battle in a slot right. Turner on the handoff, 1st down Alabama. He almost stumbled trying to get his footing. And he's tripped up by Sherrod Range. But 1st down for the Crimson Tide.
Oftentimes when a passing team can't be physical because they're more of a finesse team, but Alabama there really came off the ball, particularly the left side. Vince Strickland and Chris Robinette, left guard and left tackle, came off the ball and led the way for Kevin Turner.
Alabama has held the football now for over 4 minutes. Hollingsworth intercepted. Schoenwolf. Rich Schoenwolf.
Rich Schoenwolf has made a lot of big plays in his 4 years, but none of them have been bigger than this one. Again, when you see you can't get to the quarterback, you stay there, you try to tip a ball. Beautifully timed, and you don't think of some of these big defensive ends and tackles as great athletes, but that was a terrific and athletic play by Schoenwolf as he waited it, made a nice stop, caught the ball, and then picked up about 3.
Down 1 point. Penn State takes over at its own 30. The fake, the bootleg, and Saka slips. A loss of 6 on the play. Derek Rushton there to fall on him, but of course did not matter once Saka hit the ground.
This is a perfect screen down for teams, particularly as well as Penn State runs the screen, but Alabama is very conscious of how good Penn State is running that screen, and they have been prepared for it all week.
Daniels left, McDuffie right, and the pass caught. Jacob, the tight end, gets the 1st down. Just past the 40. Dave Jacob.
And we talked so much about Hollingsworth's presence, but Tony Saka really showed us something there. When he needed 14 yards, he gets good protection and drills this ball to Jacob. And again, easy ball to catch right in the numbers. And you give a big guy pressure. By number 86, again, Keith McCants almost tipped that ball. But again, Saka hung in there in the pocket, hung in there and waited to the last minute to throw that ball.
They'll run it with Blair Thomas. He gets to the 45-yard line. Rushton and Vantrese Davis on the tackle.
And Jim, with 4 minutes left, and if you're a Penn State fan, you have to start beginning to think about a field goal and what it's going to take. And they really need to get to about, the 29, 30-yard line to give Taurasi a chance.
2 programs, 2 schools rejuvenated by their success in football this year. Alabama 6-0. Penn State 5-1 with 5 straight victories. And driving now, trying to regain the lead. Blair Thomas into Alabama territory. And near the first down.
And again, needing about 30 more yards to get themselves in position. 3:26 remaining. They have 3 timeouts remaining. And if you're the Alabama defense, you're trying to come up with a negative play. And that's the man, Ray Taurasi, who's hoping that Tony Sacca throws a touchdown pass. Now, if you're on defense, you're figuring that Penn State is trying to set up for the field goal. So you think they're going to throw, or they're going to run the ball at you. So you need a run blitz, a stunt, to stuff them for a loss.
They come in with the full house backfield on 1st and 10 and run it with Blair Thomas. He is hammered after a 1-yard gain. Vantrese Davis, Charles Gardner combining on the Alabama tackle. Wow, some of these SEC scores this year.
Yeah.
Last week, 47-30, Alabama over Tennessee. Another high-scoring game between Georgia and Kentucky. Minnesota all over Ohio State today. We're inside 3 minutes. State College. 2nd down and 8. Blair Thomas off right tackle. I'll tell you what, Pat, he was ready to bust loose, but Willie Wyatt wouldn't let go. The nose tackle kept him from picking up a 1st down and more.
And a huge hole on the right side. Duffy, the center, Monahan, and Freeman cleared a terrific hole there. And there's a nice little cross-buck action in the backfield that took the linebackers out of there, and Thomas seized the moment.
Well, Pat, it's 3rd down and 3 with 2 minutes, 10 seconds remaining. Full house backfield. They do go with Thomas. He hurdles over one and is near the 1st down. I believe he has it at the 39.
Some guys just rise to the occasion, and Blair Thomas has done that for a long, long time. But he followed the block again by Monahan right in here, number 60. You're going to see him follow the block of Monahan. He just kicks him out just enough to have Blair Thomas jump in behind him. And remember, Taurasi just kicked his career long of 46 yards, which means they would, to kick the same field goal, would need to get to the 29-yard line.
The ball's at the 39 now. 1 minute, 50 seconds remaining. And a new set of downs. Thomas again for only 2. Vantrese Davis on the tackle.
So much time is being used here, too. The tough thing for Alabama is they're probably going to run this clock down and hopefully get themselves in position to kick the field goal, and it's either going to be a win or a loss. Alabama may not see the ball again.
Second and 9. Staying with Blair Thomas. Thomas, he's at the 29-yard line.
That was the 10 yards they needed to put Taurasi in range. Again, Ed Monahan, number 60, leads the way as number 71, Tim Freeman does. He gets a block by the wide receiver, McDuffie. And again, it gets the ball right down in field goal range for Taurasi.
1 minute, 9 seconds left. Penn State with all 3 timeouts remaining. Trailing by a point. Blair Thomas. And the senior who came back after a 1-year layoff because of a knee injury. He is doing it all. They are staying with Blair Thomas.
It's kind of surprising with 3 timeouts remaining. They don't call one here to get themselves a little bit more organized to find out exactly where they want the ball set for the field goal attempt.
We're at the 22-yard line. That would be equivalent to a 39-yard attempt. Second down and 4. Again, Blair Thomas. First down, Penn State. And to the 10-yard line. Seconds left. Of course, they stay with him. And he gets to the 5. And right in the middle of the field for Taurasi.
Penn State calls the timeout.
Penn State with one timeout left to advance the football right in square middle of the field. From this point, you're talking 22-yard field goal attempt for Ray Terrassi.
And Jim, if he does make this field goal, people will go back and wonder about Alabama not kicking the field goal at the end of the first half. Still think it was the right call by Curry. But what he's got to be thinking about right now.
Let's get a report on the sidelines from John Dockery.
Interesting, Jim, during that timeout, Joe Paterno called Blair Thomas off the field. He was talking to Tony Sacca, asked Thomas how fresh he was, had him involved in the play call. It's going to be interesting to see right now what Penn State does.
From the 5-yard line, and 21 seconds remaining. Blair Thomas again. Did he scoot in? He is down at the 1-foot line. There are 13 seconds left. Thomas did not get in. He is down about an inch short, or inches short, I should say. And Penn State called its last timeout.
And here's the play, and they're actually measuring for a first down too, Jim, but this drive has been all offensive linemen and Blair Thomas. The offensive linemen have seized control of the game, blown the Alabama defense off, and Blair Thomas has picked his way beautifully through that defense.
Mark Long will snap it back to Joe Markowitz, and Ray Terrassi, 3 for 3 today, has a chance to win it. He's made good from 26, 22, and 46 yards. This is for Penn State's 6th straight win and Alabama's first loss of the year. High snap, it's blocked. The kick is blocked and recovered by Alabama.
But give Bill Curry and his staff some credit. What they did was put Thomas Ram inside. He is 6'7". Number 95. There's about 4 or 5 white jerseys. Great penetration there. 4 or 5 white jerseys around the ball. Osmond, number 42. He is 6'5".
I think it was Thomas Ram.
He's the guy they put inside. All 6'7" of him. And that's a heads-up play. We talked earlier about they had to figure out how to way to block the field goal, so you put your tallest player inside.
Pat, you've often said this is a game of inches, and Blair Thomas was only inches away from going across the goal line, which would have made the field goal obviously never happen.
That's exactly right.
Totally irrelevant. Hollingsworth falls on one knee, and the Crimson Tide will win to go to 7-0 on the year. They become the first school ever to beat Joe Paterno and Penn State 3 straight years. Let's go down to John Dockery.
Bill Curry. Great player. It's Bill Curry just hugging Blair Thomas there. An emotional finish. What can you say about this?
Well, this team has found a way to win and has found a way to respond to every conceivable situation. Blair Thomas, Penn State probably deserved to win, but we blocked the field goal, and I'm really, really proud that we were able to win with all the mistakes we made.
Anything special on the block of the field goal that you did?
Well, it's just a desperation block where we send everybody. I didn't even see where we got it from, so the only special thing is that we send everybody.
How big a win is this for Alabama?
Well, it's huge because we came up here against an outstanding football team and slopped around and threw the ball to the defensive tackles and didn't tackle very well, but again, managed to find a way, and that's what you have to do if you're going to have an outstanding season. You have to do those things.
Still 7-0. Congratulations, Coach. An emotional win. Now back up to you, Jim Nance.
John, thank you. And indeed, Alabama, the tide rolls on. Now 7-0 on the year with a victory at Beaver Stadium and the home of Penn State. Boy, Blair Thomas almost did it for the Nittany Lions. But it's a 17-16 win for the Crimson Tide.